Good afternoon. My name is Sarah Cucchiara. I'm Senior Vice President of Channel Marketing Strategy with BrandMuscle, and I'm presenting today with James Morse, Vice President of Product Management. At BrandMuscle, I work with our corporate brands to develop local marketing programs that help activate the brand and grow revenue through channel partners at the local level.
And I work with our corporate brands on our product roadmap suite to ensure we are consistently delivering products and features that our clients need and expect to reduce friction within those local marketing programs.
At BrandMuscle, we focus on developing solutions that help businesses and brands acquire customers, ensure consistent branding, and then we really look to help to maximize marketing spend through programs that are executed through local channel partners.
So over our 20-year history of helping customers with local marketing, we've really developed fairly strong industry-specific expertise. So for example, we work with 200 of the world's largest alcohol and spirit brands, serving over 20,000 supplier and distributor representatives in that ecosystem alone. We have 5 of the country's largest property and casualty insurance companies as customers, serving over 50,000 of their local agents, as well as some of the largest bank and financial institutions. We support 4 of the 5 largest wireless carriers in the country and 3 of the largest high-tech brands. We support the largest US pharmaceutical companies across both the manufacturing and the retail supply chain. And we have several other industries that we support with marketing experts that understand the needs of those particular verticals.
We've learned a lot about local marketing through our work with our clients, and we know the path to a successful program has many challenges. Corporate brands struggle with, multiple marketing channels and tactics that can result in brand inconsistency across all the customer touch points. Depending on the industry, managing legal and regulatory compliance at that really local level can be a huge challenge. And then you have inefficient processes related to marketing fund allocation and reimbursement, and this can be slow and frustrating to your channel partners. And then finally, reporting on program performance, whether it's fund management or asset usage or even local marketing performance, is typically elusive. And at the end of the day, many of our local partners have limited to no marketing experience. And these challenges make it very hard to scale a local marketing program across this whole network of partners. And as a result, when your distributors or your dealers or your agents or franchisees go to market, your brand message doesn't always come across as you intended, creating that messaging inconsistency and sometimes a completely disjointed customer journey. And this year has added a whole new level of complexity and challenges. While corporate CMOs were trying to pivot nationally and try to maintain that brand integrity and relevancy in this quickly evolving environment, channel partners were just working under very different conditions. When shelter in place and this essential business determinations all came out, it meant that those local partners were really just scrambling to figure out what to do. And it was even more difficult because businesses within just a few miles of each other could be working under completely different sets of rules. So, we worked with our customers and our clients to ensure that we were creating and executing programs that really allowed for this hyper-local flexibility in whatever environment these businesses were working in. And reacting quickly, in many cases, ensured those local partners had the support they needed to survive during this very uncertain time. So while we at BrandMuscle work to develop holistic programs with our brand partners, we know that if channel partners are not accessing funds or using the assets that you provide or marketing your corporate brand at that local level, this incredible program investment that you have and the value it brings is completely lost. And it's no small feat to develop and maintain a local marketing program and to continuously try to engage your local partners. But it's really important to drive program activation and adoption and advocacy that really results in success.
And what we've really seen in our years of assessing and surveying these channel partners is there are 2 key factors holding them back. One, they know at some level marketing is important, but they don't know what to do or where to spend their money. Simply, they're not experts and they need guidance. And number 2, if there's a marketing fund program in place, they're not sure how to access it or use it to fully unlock those funds, completely missing out on a huge opportunity that the brand has?
So at the end of the day, we really believe you have to partner with your partners. It is really imperative that we all understand our channel partners' priorities. What is driving their businesses and their decision making? Then we need to recognize their strengths and weaknesses in marketing. Many times these are small business owners and they are great experts in their own fields, but they are probably not marketing experts. And sometimes they don't even understand the value that marketing can bring to their business. So we need to understand that perception when we try to engage with them. And then finally, we need to identify the actions that are needed to be taken to provide value and ultimately drive revenue for both your partners and your brand. So one of the best ways that we found to really understand channel partners' programs and their marketing perceptions is through our State of Local Marketing survey and report. We've been conducting this survey and producing this report for 6 years. And it really assesses local and channel partners across all aspects of their businesses and provides us with data points that allow us to compare and contrast programs year over year, industry to industry, and even client to client. And at its core, the report really provides insights into how channel marketers perceive the entire local marketing program, from marketing investments, funding support, and asset availability, and even local advertising programs. It gives our corporate partners information on how their programs are working and really helps to identify areas of weaknesses or opportunities for improvement. And it provides us with an overall annual benchmark of local marketing programs and trends and how those have evolved and changed over time. And these are just a few stats about the survey data. We really believe that this is one of the most comprehensive channel marketing reports available today. And like I mentioned earlier, we believe it's important to understand partner perceptions so that we can uncover those opportunities to help them achieve success. And because we've been surveying channel partners and collecting data for 6 years, we've been able to do a few things. We recognize and document emerging and ongoing trends. We've been able to establish benchmarks across all areas of local marketing programs, including some benchmarks by industry. And as we've been analyzing data and watching these trends and really managing benchmarks, we started to identify consistent attributes or activities that were really driving revenue for local partners. And out of all this activity came two big byproducts: the BrandMuscle Marketing Maturity Matrix and BrandMuscle Labs. The Marketing Maturity Matrix is really a formula we developed that uncovers the growth drivers for local marketing programs. And the first thing that we have to understand is that we cannot create a one-size-fits-all program because channel marketers are different. They're all at different levels of marketing maturity. And the opportunity is to really help these partners become more mature marketers and to shift them just a portion, or just even a portion of them, shift them up one level on the maturity scale. There, they can unlock this revenue and growth and the results that improves program participation and advocacy. The Local Marketing Maturity Matrix was constructed to help brands better understand their partners' marketing competency and really identify ways they can better enable their partners through their local marketing programs to drive better results. With the matrix, we identified 6 core dimensions of maturity, and each dimension includes these competencies, just a few, that impact maturity at each area. And then finally, we identified 2 foundational enablers. And these enablers are factors that give your channel partners that final push needed to fully utilize the program provided. And of these enablers, the first is partner marketing knowledge. And if you think about it, if they don't understand marketing, they're really less likely to participate in your program. And the other is partners' willingness to invest or really spend their own funds on marketing. We know that both sides must invest in these programs or have skin in the game to really make these marketing efforts successful. So the goal with the matrix is to really provide guidance, or I like to call it a roadmap, to maximize this impact of your investment and to help your partners extract the most value out of this local marketing program that you've provided. And the data really backs this up. Those channel partners, and really the bulk of channel partners that we assessed, are sitting at those lowest levels of maturity and growing at less than 5% each year. But if we move those partners up the maturity matrix, just even one level, revenue growth increases. And we see the biggest opportunities when we move channel partners from developing to equipped, which results in a 38% increase in revenue growth. And then when channel partners finally reach that optimizing level, they see 2 times the revenue growth over their peers at the disengaged and developing stages. So while ideally we'd like to move those in developing up to optimizing immediately, really the first step is moving those partners from developing to equipped. At that point, they really begin to see the value and the results of participation in your local marketing program. And I think one of the most encouraging outcomes this year is that this whole concept of the path to equipped is within reach. This year, half the respondents were classified in that developing stage. And of that group, 34% identified that the program was just missing 1 or 2 of the maturity factors in their local marketing programs, meaning with just a few adjustments, we could really have a big impact on helping to develop the maturity of these local partners. And the top factors that were missing from the program were, number 1, partner marketing investment, which we identified as really important. This is a key enabler, right? They need to see enough value to spend their own money. And second is commitment. And when we talk about commitment, it's commitment on both sides. It's both corporate commitment and local partner commitment. And this really influences perception. Having skin in the game for both groups is really important to drive maturity and program participation. So we really believe there's a lot of opportunity that we can unlock through the marketing maturity matrix. I just shared some really high-level information, but it can be a roadmap to help you focus on the processes and tools and solutions that will have the most impact for your local marketing program. So, as you look at evaluating your program maybe for next year, really assess your partners to understand their current perceptions and needs. Then classify them against this marketing maturity matrix. This will really help you to identify those missing or weak factors that may be negatively influencing your program. And then prioritize addressing those factors because they will have the most impact on moving your partners from the developing to the equipped. Resources are in short supply, right? So stay focused on what's really important and it's going to have the best bang for the buck. And then finally, as always, measure the results of your changes.
So essentially, you want the tools you utilize to focus on solutions that improve the marketing maturity at that channel partner level. So it's not just all about process, but you need the tools to be able to facilitate those processes as well. And I say this a lot with clients, but if you build it, they will come only works in old baseball movies. Therefore, it's important that your technology suite's not built in a vacuum of what you think the channel partner needs. It's really imperative that your solution strategy aligns with the gaps in your channel partner offering to provide key guidance for what and how they can become more impactful marketers. And at BrandMuscle, we created a labs team within our development organization to work with what I like to think of as forward-thinking customers to really trend spot emerging technologies that can reduce friction and drive that maturity evolution. So we recognized a special subset was really needed to focus on the channel partners themselves outside of our regular product team that focuses on delivering our core offering today. So when Sarah talks about, having resources is low, we certainly understand, and that's why you really need someone who's focused or a team that's focused on this. So we'll dive into examples of these solutions shortly, but you can see really how necessary it is to specialize a development group on those solutions to ultimately help you drive more customer adoption. And I'll hand it back over to Sarah to really dive into those state and local marketing results.
Thanks, James. So as we talk through these results, I'm really going to focus on many that impact program maturity. But I would encourage you to go online and download the full report so you can see all of our results across the entire survey this year. So we've already talked about enablers and how they really impact marketing maturity. And it makes sense, right? People that understand marketing and the benefits it brings to their business are more willing to spend their own money and are more willing to participate in local marketing programs that will help them promote their business. This understanding and the resulting actions help them become more mature marketers and grow their business at a higher rate than their peers. But overall, local partners really lack knowledge and confidence in marketing decision making. Our survey responses span both pre and post pandemic, so this is really not surprising that knowledge and confidence slipped year over year. And while I think that there's always a level of uncertainty and lack of knowledge with the bulk of our channel partners, I think it was really amplified this year. Local partners were really just struggling to figure out how to continue to do business, not to mention the added pressure of figuring out how changing consumer behaviors were going to impact their marketing planning. I think all of this really created this greater level of uncertainty across the board. I think one thing to note, though, is when we saw corporate brands quickly react to the pandemic by providing guidance and incentives and support, they were rewarded with higher participation, quicker revenue stabilization, and partner satisfaction. And those brands that took kind of a wait and see approach or just failed to respond at all, we saw a decrease in participation across their programs and partner uncertainty increased. Another exciting outcome this year was that the results continue to support our findings that the enabler of partner investment continued to drive higher revenue growth. 59% of our respondents were reinvesting at least 1% or more of their own revenue in marketing activities. So that's great news. Almost 60% of the respondents are reinvesting a significant amount of their revenue in marketing activities. But this also means that 40% are not, right? So there's opportunity. Brands can have the most robust local marketing programs available, but it's really imperative for partners to have skin in the game to really achieve success. This year, we found that partners that were reinvesting that 1% or more of their own revenue in marketing activities were driving 30% more revenue growth than their peers. That's not an insignificant number and something to really consider. So when we review the results from the enabler questions, what we see is that partners really need guidance. Providing guidance and programs that make participation easy will alleviate that uncertainty and improve overall participation and investment. It's very cyclical, like we've said. The more knowledge and confidence one has in making decisions results in those higher investments in marketing activities that lead to higher revenue growth, right? So focusing on program enhancements, on action that will help build confidence and knowledge through things like do-it-for-me programs or webinars or funding incentives will help your partners really realize maturity faster.
And when Sarah talks about what we need is guidance, a lot of you may be fearful of how much more time is that going to take on my part? What more resources do I need? And it doesn't have to be that way. One of the things we look to is all the data that we collect and how do we utilize that to enhance that channel partner's experience. So one unique way is by utilizing recommendation engine to drive marketing recommendations. So in this example, you can kind of see where the channel partner may select between driving awareness and driving conversion. So what is their goal throughout this? And then we utilize machine learning on the back end to combine those inputs with all of that data we've collected to provide a clear recommendation on what makes the most sense for the channel partner at that specific time. And it's these types of proactive recommendations that can range from executing specific content to increasing local marketing spend, or even incentivizing the channel partner to engage with the recommendations through gamification. Really, the overall goal here is through this guidance is to educate those channel partners on what will have the greatest impact for their budget and reduce as much friction as possible.
Thanks, James. We're going to move to a matrix dimension now. Strategic focus. Strategic focus is important to really help build maturity. More mature marketers have marketing plans that focus on goals and objectives. Then they align tactics and budgets to achieve those goals. And as they get more mature, they begin to really measure the ROI of those programs and campaigns and initiatives to really determine success and then to guide future actions. I have to say, when I saw these results, I completely pushed back on our analyst and told him I didn't believe him and he needed to go back and review all the numbers. The data says that 56% of respondents had at least a loose marketing strategy or a well-defined marketing strategy. His response back to me was that his data was correct, but he did break it down for me. And so he broke down each answer by maturity level. And at that point, it started to make sense, right? The most mature marketers made up the bulk of those doing proactive marketing planning, which makes sense. But if you really look at the data and dig in, you can see that there is an opportunity with that developing group in the light blue. Almost a quarter of those creating marketing plans or strategies are stuck in that developing stage. So they see the value of marketing. They just need to we just need to help them figure out what's holding them back to get them to that next maturity level. The strategic focus dimension does not specifically call out time spent on marketing, but I do think it provides some insights into partner challenges. So I included it here. 71% of respondents are spending less than an hour a week on marketing activities. So while they may have a plan, they may not have time to fully execute that plan. So to me, this means there's a great opportunity with local marketing programs to step in and help. I think creating these low effort, do it for me programs that are somehow what I like to call endorsed by the corporate brand make it super easy to participate and don't distract or take away from the other activities our partners need to do just to run their business. Then being able to measure ROI is probably one of the biggest challenges we see in programs that we help develop and manage. I think part of this has to do with a couple of things. Sometimes the corporate brand never sees revenue for a number of reasons. I also think it's sometimes hard to get sales data into third-party tools. And then finally, to accurately attribute revenue to specific programs or campaigns can be next to impossible. 50% of our respondents said there was some form of ROI tracking happening within their programs, but only 13% were able to use that data to guide decision making. I think demonstrating positive results in program participation is one of the biggest program endorsements and the quickest way to create advocates. People want to know, what is my money going to get me? To move to the next level, local marketing programs really need to create tools and reports that help these local partners see the value of their participation in the form of real return on investment. This information will then guide more mature marketing decisions. So as we wrap up this section, lack of planning, lack of time, and then program results are really what's holding back channel partners from moving to the next level of maturity and fully utilizing local marketing programs. Providing partners with planning templates or developing a marketing planning calendar can just help them take those first baby steps in this space. Many cannot give more time based on the results. So opt-in campaigns that take care of the planning and execution for them also may help with participation. And finally, reporting on results and clearly demonstrating that link between participation and revenue will create those advocates and really drive more informed marketing decisions.
And when Sarah touches on reporting, the tools need to be easily digestible at that channel partner level. So, just giving reporting for the sake of reporting doesn't really get us anywhere. And what we've seen is utilizing a channel partner scorecard, we're able to really give them insightful information that allows them to invest time and energy well put into actually doing that local marketing. We're able to grade their channel marketing performance against a peer set, which is super helpful with that comparative benchmarking. We also utilize rules-based recommendations based off of what you want them to be doing, because what's impactful and effective. That gives them guidance to how to improve that score. And if you think of the score, it could just be a letter grade, a C, a B, an A. We all know what that means, and we know what we want to get to at the next level. It also helps those partners course correct and meet those marketing targets. So there's no more having to look back and think that I should have changed this, really helping those see in the moment there's more impactful things that they can be doing. And it really provides a single place to see those marketing goals, activity, and sales results by closing that marketing to sales loop. And to Sarah's point, this is oftentimes a very difficult piece of getting that sales data to them in an impactful way. And this is really how we help guide that all in one place. And then finally, giving the visibility into ROI. And since that's often missing at the local level, it really helps demonstrate what works and what doesn't. And overall, through this, we really aim to incentivize the ideal partner behavior while increasing engagement into the entire program.
A successful local marketing program cannot be a launch and leave it endeavor. It's this whole concept, you will build it, they will come. You can't launch it and leave it and walk away, right? Programs need to evolve as partners' needs change, and especially right now as they're trying to react in this rapidly changing, evolving environment where customer behaviors have really pivoted and changed over the past few months. And as we've talked about, partners need to have programs that are easy to use. They don't have time to go find your solutions. So really an integrated platform that provides access to all of your solutions from one place really reduces that friction to participation. And finally, successful programs have to support tactics that partners feel are important, like digital and social programs. Respondents this year reported program variety down year over year. And again, I don't think that this is surprising. It's been a very chaotic year. And we saw many corporate programs cut or drastically reduce investments as companies were just trying to figure out how to react. And this had an impact on many local marketing programs. I think the important thing to remember here as we go into 2021 and knowing that we will never return to business as usual. This means that we really need to make sure programs are offering tools and solutions that first are relevant to how customer behaviors have changed. And second, are flexible enough to be relevant to different local conditions, because we know that is very fluid right now and will continue to be for some time. And then finally, they really need to meet the different levels of marketing maturity. Integration of programs was also down year over year. And again, I think this is a result of program cuts. But 50% said local marketing programs could not be managed holistically across vendors and solutions. You know, again, making programs easily accessible or providing like a one point of entry into your program solutions, and then maybe even taking it to the next level and showing how different programs and solutions can work together to drive results can again really improve participation and drive that maturity. I'm going to switch gears here to tactics. In collecting data for 6 years, we've been watching this transition with our local partners from a heavy use of traditional tactics to this growing adoption of digital tactics. And this year, websites and social media moved firmly into those top 2 advertising spots, both in priority and then in actual usage by our local partners. That said, we are still seeing a mix of both digital and traditional tactics at that local level, as to be expected. But while we see digital tactics really moving into the consideration mix, inclusion of these tactics and programs is still lacking. You know, whether it's assets or education or funding, you should be looking at all of those pieces and consider them when you're planning inclusion of digital tactics in your program. And we all know that social is a major influencer in the purchase journey, from discovery clear through post-purchase advocacy. But while we as consumers are very comfortable getting on our devices and getting on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or whatever, you know, sharing and liking content, as marketers and as business owners, this proves to be a very scary and challenging tactic for our local partners. You know, I think it really comes down to this fear of a public misstep. They don't know how to create really compelling content. And then just the lack of time to be consistently and constantly engaging in this platform are all barriers to leveraging social as a purchase influencer. So these local marketing programs really need to acknowledge these challenges and then put together programs and then education and assets that just really help these local partners leverage this channel moving forward. So as we wrap up the program focus section, the big takeaways are that programs need to meet partners' needs by offering tools and solutions that evolve with these customer behaviors, that are flexible to meet local local needs and maturity levels, and that are fully integrated to reduce that friction to usage. Additionally, programs must support digital and social tactics, through assets, through education, tools, and ultimately funding. I think the downside of failing to focus on your program is lack of participation. And this may lead to local partners just going it on their own, or worse, they'll go to competing programs that actually do meet their needs.
And when we talk about integration or aggregation of programs and vendors, what we're really talking about is providing a single entry point. And Sarah's mentioned this too, that single point, that hub, that one-stop shop for your ecosystem so that your channel partners can access the entire toolkit. There's so many times we hear from customers that my channel partner goes here for this and a completely different place for this, and they usually don't engage with both as much as they should, if at all. Ultimately providing that one-stop shop reduces that friction, and it improves satisfaction and the adoption of your programs, which is most important. The single point of entry can also provide a wealth of information. You're able to track how the channel partner navigates the hub, what links they're clicking, what vendors they engage with, or even products that they purchase. Really, this helps inform program changes with a focus on what the channel partners want through those actions. So it's no longer being reliant on anecdotal information, but also being able to back that up with true data around what and how they're engaging with your programs.
So true. The last area we're going to focus on today is commitment. Programs will not be successful unless there's a commitment on both sides, both by corporate and partners, to fully support their end of this relationship. It's worth noting that commitment is built over time, and really consistency is key. And more importantly, especially in this times of chaos or uncertainty, continuing to support these local partners shows a dedicated commitment that can go a long way to program advocacy. Corporate commitment is down year over year. Again, I think to be expected. I think this very well could be a reflection of how many companies reacted to this uncertainty introduced by the pandemic. Cutting programs and budgets at times, though, directly impacted local partners that may have relied on those programs as a major source of driving revenue. So corporate commitment really sets the tone of the program. And then you have consistency, flexibility, and reacting in ways that really help their local partners then will influence those perceptions over the long term. And just like corporate commitment was down, partner commitment was down also year over year. I think during this uncertainty, local partners are just trying to find ways to survive. And if programs are not meeting their needs, they will quickly pivot to other programs or solutions that they feel will help. So identifying when partners need help, having empathy for them, and at the very minimum, acknowledging the situation can have an impact on commitment over time. So commitment is crucial for programs to be successful. Local programs need to offer education and tools and easy to use solutions that really help partners drive revenue. And local partners need to participate in programs to see the full value that they can bring to their businesses. But at the end of the day, commitment will only last as long as it's beneficial or meaningful for both sides. So program success is greatly impacted when that commitment is high for both sides.
And when I think about commitment, I really think that it builds loyalty is really what you're aiming for here. I think this is a really important one. Investments in improving a program show a level of commitment from the corporate partners. And partners that focus those investments on making programs easier to access and easier to use ultimately show a level of understanding. They show that empathy, that local business partners have limited time and they understand that. And that time needs to be used as efficiently as possible. So how do they make it easier? And always the partner that makes it the partner that delivers the least amount of friction is who these channel partners are going to gravitate towards. Leveraging technology to deploy programs. It enables companies to quickly pivot when the environment changes, which obviously, to Sarah's point, we've seen a lot this year. And we've helped clients rebrand hundreds of templates with the upload of a few files. We switched promotional messaging and media campaigns midstream to achieve better performance. And in the spring, we really saw where commitment builds the loyalty. We helped our clients change funding programs to help partners manage operational and marketing costs, something we've never seen before. We were able to update assets to be relevant nationally and locally. And we offered new media campaign programs to alleviate the loss of events, which was a huge barrier for a lot of these channel partners, while helping continue to still drive that local brand awareness. And through technology, we were able to do this quickly and at scale and give the channel partners a reliance that they didn't know they had before.
So I'm going to share 3 client examples that I think really demonstrate what we've been talking about today. And the first one shows what can happen if partners don't have the guidance they need to make mature marketing decisions. And to set this up, just like James said, local events have consistently been a top marketing tactic for our local partners. And when we think as corporate marketers of events, we think of big trade show events, a destination event. But for our local partners, these are really in-store events or local sponsorships or tabling activities at festivals and fairs. And these events make up a very large share of many of their budgets because they really help them connect with their community and actually drive revenue. But in March, events were effectively shut down. So we had channel partners that were left scrambling, trying to find ways to, reallocate those event budgets in meaningful ways that could or would drive that community engagement and revenue. And we saw some of our clients really proactively recognize the situation and then recommended event alternatives, whether that's typically that was like targeted digital media programs. In other cases, in those cases, partner participation increased and those funds were efficiently leveraged, thankfully. Alternatively, those brands that did not proactively provide guidance and really left partners trying to figure out what to do. And what happened is that many did not reinvest those funds, or they spent them outside of the local marketing programs, meaning we lost all insights into those activities and that spend. So not the ideal situation. On the flip side, we had a client that quickly pivoted their program and really helped both their partners and participants in this time of crisis. This is a financial client that immediately saw that their program participants were being dramatically impacted by the pandemic. And those participants needed access to their retirement funds because this is their biggest accumulation of wealth. But they needed access to those funds in informed ways just to meet their daily needs. So this client's call center, their websites, their advisors, they could not keep up with the volume of inbound requests, and the local circumstances had changed in ways that participants, the way that participants had, typically engaged with these people had totally changed, right? My sponsor or my advisor sitting down the hallway from me, or I can meet them in the lunchroom, that was all gone. We had to engage in a different way. So the company created this cross-department task force, started leveraging technology and partners to generate tools and services and content specifically to really help those participants get the information they needed. And during this time, they worked with us to create 130 customizable marketing templates that allowed their communication consultants to personalize materials on demand for their clients. So this meant hundreds of versions were created with no additional marketing, legal, or compliance resources. And when they quantified the results, they had saved over 3,000 hours of work and were able to meet their internal needs within just a few weeks. So leveraging technology and partners and really taking this program to the next level, they were able to scale through technology. They would not have been able to do it any other way. The second one is an example from one of our manufacturing clients. And when the pandemic hit, they quickly pivoted and really focused on 3 areas. They wanted to support their dealers and employees, they wanted to support their consumers, and they wanted to support their communities. And they did this by focusing on 3 key areas in their local marketing program. The first was communication and education. And we've talked about education a lot through this webinar. And they really took it seriously. They sent out weekly informational emails and they hosted 9 webinars. And these were really designed to communicate out new programs, new products, and then just general information on how to react during this time. Secondly, they launched new marketing and advertising programs that really guided dealers on where and how to spend their marketing funds in the most efficient and effective ways possible. They wanted to make it really super easy for the dealers to participate with these turnkey programs that took little to no effort, but were driving results. And finally, they invested their own funds in testing new marketing channels and programs. They took this whole test and learn mentality, and so that they could quickly identify programs that would drive value, and then they would roll them out to the entire channel network with little to no risk to their participants. And the result was that they saw a 70% increase in program participation during this time. Dealers could see the brand was actively supportive of their program and their channel, and they responded by actively supporting the brand. And I think this is the best example of how commitment from both sides can produce really great results, even in this really chaotic time. So as we wrap up, I think the most important drivers for local marketing program success really come down to these 2 things. Number 1 is partner marketing knowledge and confidence in decision making. And number 2 is partners' willingness to invest in marketing. And you can enable them through education and guidance to really build that confidence in marketing, or even just take the guesswork out of the process by providing these turnkey or safe programs that are proven to work. And then you can help your partners by showing them the importance that marketing and your local program can help them through overt program support, and then helping them calculate that ROI, or just the value the program can bring. I think investing in these areas will just help channel partners fully optimize and leverage the local marketing programs you've provided, and then help them move up that maturity framework.
It wouldn't be a good wrap up if we didn't share some best practices. So here's some that we found in really helping activate the channel partners and guide that program development. So first, understand your channel partners are not all the same. They're each in a different state of that maturity. So your program really needs to enable those at different levels of readiness. Second, create incentives to ensure alignment and encourage the partners to commit time and resources to really fully optimize the opportunity. So again, get that buy-in from them as well. Then prioritize program changes based on the impact to marketing maturity and driving your revenue. Resources are scarce, as we've talked about, so focus on what will have the most bang for your buck. Obviously, don't forget to promote the program. Sarah mentioned, we see this as a miss so often. This is such a big one. You have to promote and make sure that the communication is the key to all of those channel partners, that awareness is really being driven. And finally, share the marketing knowledge. Help your partners make smart marketing decisions that drive success, whether it's through other best practices that you've seen with partners or what you know works at a corporate level. Help them understand this.
So as we wrap up, remember that your local marketing program is only successful if it's being utilized. Understanding what is holding your channel partners back will really help you unlock insights for improvement. Then focus your efforts, like we've said, on improving those parts of your program that will really drive value by enabling your partners to become more mature marketers. By becoming more mature marketers, they will drive more revenue growth than their peers and move from merely participants in your program to advocates. Thanks so much for your time today. We'll go ahead and see what questions we have. Well, James, we did have a couple of questions that came in. So I'm going to just read the first one here. You mentioned you worked with clients that have been relying on events prior to COVID, use their budgets in different ways. What are some of the things that you recommended? This is a great question because we talked about events quite a bit. So we quickly started seeing in March events either getting postponed or completely canceled. And we were really working closely with our dealers and agents on things to do So what we did is we put together a team in our performance marketing area to come up with like this 3-tiered approach to help our account strategy teams work with our corporate partners on how to develop a plan for their local dealers. And really it was, we tried to make it as easy as possible. And we really focused on the basics, which were a focus on launching digital campaigns pretty quickly. So, you know, whatever the capabilities were or the programs would allow, we were proposing display, social, and paid search campaigns and launching those fairly quickly. You know, the next tier was really around in-home consumption. We really saw this shift that everybody was staying home in March and April. So we were really looking at digital direct mail, you know, getting pieces in home and layering mobile display on top of those digital direct or that direct mail piece in home. And then looking at connected TV advertising and also streaming audio. And then we moved to what we called targeted out of home. And this was really looking at what was available at the time. Where could people actually go out of home? And we have a lot of supermarket partnerships. And so supermarkets were essential businesses. And so we were really exploring other opportunities within, you know, especially supermarkets, whether that's advertising on carts, which, you know, these are things you don't typically think about, but we were trying to really get out, you know, think outside the box, what was available and what could take the place of that, and focusing where people could be. So looking at supermarket advertising, you know, whether that's in-store signage or on the carts. We looked at, you know, gas stations were still essential businesses, and there's gas station TV. You can buy that programmatically. We looked at, you know, things like later on drive-ins. It's just like cinema advertising, but looking at advertising and drive-ins, and then also pizza box toppers. There are national vendors out there that can do zip code targeting and advertising on pizza boxes. And if you're like my house with 3 kids, I have ordered so much pizza in the past 6 months, I don't know what I'm gonna do. So those were some, we just put together this framework of this tiered framework to really help start to have that conversation and put together a plan for our account teams and then also our clients to then roll out to their local business partners. The next question we have is, most of our marketing at the local level is taking our national messaging and allowing our partners to simply add their contact information. How do you recommend scaling regional messaging to better boost engagement? James, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, there are a couple of different ways. I would say this is kind of our bread and butter, is that national language and really regionalizing it. So we see this a lot within retail as well as financial services, so insurance. Basically utilizing templates, whether you think of those as print materials, digital materials, even your web presence, whatever it may be, and really utilizing logic on the back end that recognizes where that channel partner is coming from. So maybe they're East Coast versus West Coast, and you have very different language. For those, we have one client that has very specific products within Florida that they don't want the other retail outlets to be able to promote throughout the year, just because they're very warm weather oriented. So we really gate those types of regional messages, whether it's through imagery or headlines or even price points. So a lot of it's through automated technology, but taking the guesswork out of it for both corporate and that channel partner and really eliminating any fear of user error.
Great. Okay, we have a question here, which I'm almost scared to ask because it's a hard one. I may have missed this, but what are a couple of ways to demonstrate ROI? And we've said ROI is one of the biggest challenges that we face. So there's a couple of ways that we can approach it, and I'm going to talk about it from a marketing standpoint because, you know, my background is in marketing in the performance marketing area, and then I'll pass it to you, James, to see if you have anything to add. But, you know, we can look at it a couple different ways, especially on the digital side. And if we're driving traffic to, you know, a landing page that has actions that someone can take, we can start to quantify the cost of those actions and look at conversion rates and then back into sometimes an ROI if you know your customer lifetime value or the cost per acquisition. So you can do some back of the napkin backing into some ROI numbers if you understand costs, you understand conversion rates, even in store, like if we can track, we're running an in-store or foot traffic type of campaign, understanding what the conversion rate is within a store understanding the average cart value, and then an average or a cost per customer, cost of our lifetime value, then we can start to back into some ROI. Obviously, the best scenario is to get that sales data, and we can start to, match up sales data to different campaigns. We can layer on what campaigns you're running and look at attribution. But sales data is obviously key, but we know and we understand different models sometimes don't allow for that. So we can get creative to at least get at, directionally what an ROI could look like for a program. James, do you have anything there to add to that?
Yeah, I think a lot of times we think of the ROI around programs to being the marketing that's being executed specifically, but also think about it if you have a channel fund program as well. So if you're giving funds back to the channel partner and looking at ROI in a similar way that Sarah's articulating, of kind of backing out from those goals. Obviously, sales data can certainly help close that loop on what that ROI looks like, but really understanding the cost of customer acquisition, what that lifetime value of a customer is, and then how much those channel partners are spending, both of your channel fund program as well as the money that they're putting into it themselves.
We had one other question around what kinds of programs are you doing for beverage alcohol these days? I know we just launched Spot Menus, which is a great platform. It's our touchless menu solution. Go check it out. It's a great solution for our beverage alcohol space. But James, do you have anything else that you would share around anything we're doing in particular for bev alcohol right now?
I mean, that's the big one. It's a very print-oriented industry, and obviously with COVID happening, a lot of these places closed, especially your on-prem. So Spot Menus was a direct way that we quickly pivoted, working with a lot of our clients in that alcohol beverage space to ensure that they were still able to get their marketing out there, especially within a menu type solution, so that when you do have people who are visiting a physical location or even looking online for takeout, et cetera, especially as I think a lot of us got used to to-go cocktails, similar fashion of being able to give them tools to immediately pivot when they had COVID restrictions in their areas. And of course, there's a lot more coming with that. But that's probably the biggest area that we've seen a change this year.
Great. Well, I don't see any other questions here. James, it's been a pleasure presenting with you today. This was just a sneak peek to what our state of local marketing results are for this year. The report will be coming out the first part of January. If you attended or signed up for the webinar today, you'll be getting an email with a link to the report to download. If you're interested in the State of Local Marketing Survey for your own channel partners, feel free to reach out to us via the website, and we'll be glad to talk to you about the opportunities there. Thank you again so much for your time today. We appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.